Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back. In this tutorial, we're going to discuss about tuple and list data type. If you have followed my series on basics of Python, then you know in the third video we have discussed about a number and string data type. And if you haven't watched that video yet, I would encourage you to go back and watch that video. I will put the link to that video in the description, and you can go back and watch and come back to this video again. Or else I would just assume you know about number and string data type and will proceed. When we talk about number and string data type, it has one value associated with them. For example, when I say number 5, that means number 5 is the value which is being associated with that data type. One value. Same goes for the string. No matter how long the string it is, how many characters does it have, how many words does it have, still it will be considered as one string only, the one value. But tuple and list, and the one which we're going to talk about in the subsequent lecture, that is set and dictionary, this all four data type has more than one value associated with them, and each of this value or element may have one of the data type which we have talked about. So one of the 6 data type. Okay, I know right now it's a bit confusing, but when I will give you the example of tuple and list, it will be more clear to you and how it's different from number and string. But let's just keep going. And the Python data type, the whole class, can be broadly classified into two types: immutable and mutable. If you see the dictionary meaning of immutable, that means something which is not changing over the time or remain unchanged over the time. It is little bit less intuitive if I will give you the example of number and string, but when I will give you the example of tuple in a second, then you will realize once you define the tuple, you cannot edit, you cannot insert, you cannot delete any value or any part of the value of the tuple. So that means it remains constant over the time. On the contrary, list, when we talk about list, you will see you can do all such kind of operation, that edit, insert and delete. And same holds true for set and dictionary as well. Tuple is a collection of data type, and it's immutable, which we have just discussed in the previous slide. You can represent tuple in Python by putting two parentheses, and you can pass all your values within those parentheses by separating them with the commas. In the first example, you can see there are 4 elements or 4 values associated with the tuple, and those are 1, 32, 68, and 36.5. And all those values or elements of the tuple are of a number data type. But this is not true for all the cases. For example, in the second cases, you have a tuple which has 3 elements, and the first element of the tuple is a number data type, the second element is a string data type, and the third element is a tuple itself. So the element of tuple or list or set or dictionary, which we're going to talk about, could be anything, any one of the data type out of 6 which we have seen in the previous slide. List is also a collection of data type, and it is mutable unlike tuple. And you can represent a list in Python by using 2 square bracket, and you can pass your value or element within this 2 square bracket using a comma as a separator. This is one example of list where each element, it has 6 elements, and each element of this the list is a string data type, but same as tuple, it could be any one of the 6 data types. So now, as we know that list and tuple are the collection of elements of various data types, so there must be a way to access these elements within the list and tuple. And the way you can do it by using index. And index means the position of this element within the list and tuple. And the process of slicing and dicing list and tuple using index is called indexing. Okay. In Python, there is 2 ways you can access this element. So one is the positive indexing, and the second one is the negative indexing. In the positive indexing, the first element has the index 0, and the last element has the index, the length of the list and tuple -1. So here in this example, my tuple has 6 elements: green, red, green, blue, white, pink, and black. and the first element is the red, so it has the index 0, and the last element, which is black, is having index 5 because the length of the element is 6 minus 1 is 5. Similarly, you can access this element by using negative index, and the last one of the list tuple. For this example, it's tuple. The last one is black, and it's having index minus 1. And the first element of the tuple, which is red, and it is having the index minus 6. So it starts from the length of the element, and it increases till it reaches to minus 1. That which is the last element of the tuple of the list. We will see how you can do the slicing and dicing in the Python when we will do the example. But now let's just stick to this 4 example. And in the first example, let's say I want to access the first element of the tuple. The way I can do it by you passing the index of the which I am interested within the square bracket. So here I want to make a point. Whenever you want to slice and dice or list and tuple, you need to pass this index within the square bracket. So in the first example, you get the output as red because the 0th index would be the red in this example. Similarly, you can access multiple items within the list and tuple, and the way you can do it by using semicolon. So in this example, I'm asking Python to return all the elements starting from the first index till the fourth index, but not including the fourth one. So whatever number will come after the semicolon, the Python will return till that index, but not including that one. So here in this case, fourth index will not be returned. So green, blue, and white will be the return from this code. Similarly, you can slice the tuple or the list using the negative index. And in this example, when I pass minus 1, the last element of the tuple, which is black, came as a return. Same as positive index, you can also access multiple elements using negative index. And here I am asking Python to give me from minus 3 index to minus 1 index, but not including minus 1. So that means this would be there, this would be there till the minus 1, but not minus 1. So white and pink would be the return from this code. Okay, let's go to the Python shell and create a tuple and list and do all sort of operation, including indexing and slicing and dicing as well. Okay, so let's declare a variable myTuple and assign a tuple to it. And as you can see here, this tuple has 6 elements, and each of this element is a string data type. The first thing which I can do, I can see the length of the tuple, which is by using a length inbuilt function. So using len, then pass the argument myTuple, which is the variable in this case, and when I run this one, you can see the length of the tuple is 6. Similarly, I can also see the class of this variable myTuple by using type inbuilt function or type command and pass the argument myTuple within the parenthesis. And when I say that run it, you can see it has a class tuple and length 6. Let me comment this thing out, and we can do slicing using index for this tuple. By the way, all the slicing and dicing which we're going to do for this tuple is also valid for lists. So you can do the similar kind of operation by using index for the list, which we're going to do for tuple. So here I say myTuple, and I want to access the first element. That means the 0th index. And in this case, the first element or the 0th index is red. So so that means it will return red. Similarly, I can also access multiple items by using semicolon. Let's say I'm using 1 to 4. That means it will start from 1th index item and it will go till the 4th index, but not including the 4th index. That means green, blue, and white would be the return from this piece of code. Okay, I can also access the entire list starting from this index, which is specified in the left side, if I will not just specify the right hand side index. So here I just keep the right hand index blank. That means the Python will automatically cap it to the maximum length index. So in this case it is 5. So you can see it starts from index 1, which is green, till the last, which is black. What if I will just pass an index which is greater than the length of the maximum index, which is 10, and in this case the maximum index is 5, and when I run it, of course the Python will throw an error. But if I will pass the index which is more than the length of the tuple from the in the right hand side after the semicolon, it is still a valid code, and Python will cap this the right hand side index to the maximum index. So in this case it's 5, so it will cap it to 5, and it will return from 1 to 5, that is green to black. I can also do this slicing using negative index, and when I say -2 or -3, then it will, this has a index, black has an index -1, pink has an index -2, and white is a index of -3. So it will return black. It will return white. Okay. I can also access multiple items using semicolon in the negative index, and here I want to ask Python to return from -3 to -1, but not including -1. So that in this case, this will return white and pink. Oh, this one is small. Let me zoom in. Okay, you can see the return is white and pink. Okay. Now, if I will just say my tube and put a dot and then hit the button tab, you can see the number of operation you can do on this variable my tube. So this is a tuple, so it doesn't have many options. I told you you cannot edit, insert, and delete any of the elements from the tuple. So that is the only two operation which you can do is count and index. So the count will return the number of time that element exists in this tuple. So if I will just say red here and run it, you can see, oops, I have to forget to print it. So I say print, and if I will run it, you can see it is the red is only one time is appearing in this tuple. If I will just copy it and paste it again here, in this case, you can see if I will run it now, you will see the red, this element appearing 2 times. So by using count function, you can count the number of times this particular element appears in this in the tuple. The other thing which you can do is index. So here I say index, and it will return the index of the element. So here if I will run it, the index of the red is 0, even though it has appeared 2 times and index of the red is 0 and 2, still it will return the first index of the item if the items repeats many times in the tuple. Okay, so that is more or less everything what you want to know about tuple. Let's move to list, and in this case I have declared a variable mylist and assign a list to it. And the way you can do it using 2 square bracket and pass all your element within those square bracket using comma as a separator. The first thing which I can do, I can print the class of the objects. The way which I can do it using type and print function, I will pass my list, and also I want to print the length of the object list by using len inbuilt function and pass the variable, and here you can see it has a class list and length 6. Let me comment this thing out. I told you earlier that Python list is a mutable object. That means you can edit, insert, and delete items within the list itself. So first let's talk about how you can add element. So there are many ways you actually can do it, and let's talk all this thing one by one. So when you put dot and tab, hit the button tab, you can see there are many operations which you can perform on list. The first one is append. Let's do that. And when you do append, it will add items to your list. So here I will say yellow, and let me print this one. And you can see once I do that to perform the operation append, the item is being added to the end of the list. Okay, so there is another way you can add items to the list, and that's called insert. And insert asks two arguments. So the first one is the the index where you want to add, and the second one is the item itself. So let's say I want to add yellow after green, so 0, 1 and second. So second index would be yellow. So if I will do that and run it, you can see yellow is being added in the second index rather than the last in the list when we use append function. Now let's say I have another list which is my list 2, and it has two numbers, 1 and 2. Let me put an underscore here, and I want to add the element of this my list 2 uh, to the my list 1. So if I would just use this function, the my append or insert, let's say append and my list 2, my list 2, you can see the element is being added, but not as an individual element, but rather the whole list is being added to the end. But what if I don't want to add the entire list, but rather the element of the list? So in that way, in there you can use a function called extend in the list. It's my list and extend when you say my list 2. Now if I will run it, you can see this the item of the list 1 and 2 is being added to the end of the list 1. We can also remove the item from the list by using two methods. One is remove and another is pop. Let me first show you how you can remove item by using remove. So remove will take one argument, that is the item which you want to remove from the list. And in this case, let's say I want to remove white. And when I say remove white, you can see the item white is being removed from the list. Another way you can do it using pop, and pop will not take any argument, and it will just pop the item out from the list, which is the last one. So it will remove the last item. When you perform again, it will remove the next item. Then it's go on till it remove the entire list, entire item from the list. And one specialty about pop, it will return the item which it removed. So you can access it using print or any other function. Now if I will run it, you can see the item is black, is being removed from the list, and that's why it's returning black, this one. And this one is returning the new list, which is 5 element, and black is not present. We can also perform some other operations like sort. So for that, let me comment this one, delete this one, and say my list and sort. Sort won't take any argument, it just return the items in the ascending order. And if you want a descending order, then you can again specify my list, then specify reverse. And reverse again will not take any input, it will just reverse the order. So in the sorting, it sort in the ascending order, and then the reverse, it will just reverse the index of the items. So if I will just run it, and you can see now the whole item of the list is being sorted and reversed. That means it is sorted in the descending order. So that's all for list and tuple. I know this is probably the longest video so far, but it's worth it because in Python we use list and tuple very often, and it's good that we had a very detailed discussion. If you have any question, comments till now, please feel free to drop them in the comment section, or else thanks for watching, and as usual, thanks for all the likes and subscription. And if you haven't subscribed my channel, please do it. Until next time, cheers.